Airbus A330. Emergency electrical configuration. The Gremlin in the grid. Welcome on board, players. I'm your game master, and today taking command takes a slightly different twist. We're going to play a game. Your mission is simple. Fly from A to B, safely and efficiently. I'll guide a standard crew, a captain and a first officer, from cruise to touchdown. But beware. There may be gremlins along the way, unseen forces ready to test your systems, your logic, and your calm. So, get ready to take command. The game begins now. Today, we're cruising along at flight level 370. Outside, smooth air and clear skies. Inside, everything is running exactly as expected. In normal configuration, the Airbus A330 electrical system supplies AC power through its two main engine-driven generators, with the APU standing by as backup. Each generator feeds its own AC bus, but can power the entire aircraft network if needed. The design is elegant and redundant. If one source fails, the others instantly take over. But balance can be fragile. In this mission, you'll be facing little creatures, ones that live in the wires, and wait for the perfect moment to play their game. Before we continue, a quick word about the Gremlins, because they're more than just part of this simulation. You need to know what you're up against. The legend began almost a century ago in the Royal Air Force of the 1920s and 30s. Pilots would blame mysterious mechanical failures on tiny, invisible creatures they called gremlins. In 1943, a young Royal Air Force officer named Roald Dahl wrote a story about them. His tale turned those mischievous spirits into something larger symbols of the unpredictable. If a propeller jammed, a gauge froze, or a radio went silent, it wasn't the pilot's fault, it was the gremlins doing. They were said to live inside engines and control cables, gnawing at wires or loosening bolts, just for mischief. Now that you know who we're playing against, let's see when the first one decides to strike. Actually, as we speak, the gremlins are chewing through the wires, damaging insulation and shorting the electrical network. They've caused both engine-driven generators to trip offline. Suddenly, the autopilot and the autothrust disconnect. The first officer's screens and the lower ECAM blink out. The captain immediately takes control, and the left-hand seat becomes the pilot flying, as only his on-side PFD remains available. Once a safe flight path is established, ATC should be notified, and an electrical emergency declared. ECAM actions are carried out by the first officer, whose workload increases significantly. One pilot is flying manually, while the other manages the situation using a single engine warning display. For example, ECAM pages must now be called up on the upper screen by pressing and holding the corresponding push button on the ECAM control panel. First, the electrical emergency configuration checklist, in the worst possible scenario, directs the crew to manually push the emergency electrical power button if the emergency generator hasn't coupled automatically. The crew can check the status of the emergency generator with the corresponding light on the emergency electrical power panel. The fault light is off, therefore the emergency generator is running and supplying the network. The emergency generator is supplying the AC essential bus and the essential TR. Note that the captain's navigation display would have been inoperative if the RAT had been powering the green hydraulic system instead of the engine-driven pumps. Next, both engine generators are reset. If unsuccessful, the two AC buses are segregated by setting the bus tie to off before another reset attempt. Today, the APU generator will not restore the situation, as the electrical fault lies in the distribution, not in the generation. But there's good news. The gremlins haven't touched the engines, and the green hydraulic engine-driven pumps, the EDPs, remain intact. That means the emergency generator is being powered by the stronger engine-driven pumps rather than by the ram air turbine, or RAT. The The result is a much better configuration, with significantly more systems still available. If the emergency involves both electrical and engine failures, the crew can attempt to restore power using the backup APU generator, if available. In this case, depending on which engines are lost and whether the green hydraulic EDPs remain functional, the emergency generator may be powered by the less powerful ram air turbine, RAT, instead of the EDPs, providing roughly half the electrical power of the normal emergency configuration. So now we have gremlins and rats, yes, but not the animal kind. The ram air turbine, RAT, is a fail-safe drop-out propeller coupled to a hydraulic pump. It deploys automatically to pressurize the green hydraulic system and supply electrical power in the event of a dual engine failure or low hydraulic pressure in the green and yellow or green and blue systems. The power source of the emergency generator determines the aircraft's configuration and influences crew decision-making. When powered by the EDPs rather than the RAT, more systems remain available. To identify which systems remain powered under each configuration, the crew refers to the electrical emergency configuration systems remaining table in the QRH. One good example is the following point in the checklist. If the emergency generator is supplied by the RAT, the ATC transponder will be inoperative, but not if the supply comes from the engine hydraulic pumps. However, prolonged flight in either configuration is not recommended, as indicated by the red ECAM warning. Land as soon as possible. And in the remote case that normal AC power is not available, the batteries can provide approximately 30 minutes of AC power through the inverters. After the ECAM actions are complete, a summary for the management of this procedure and the approach preparation is also included in the QRH. Well done, players. You've reviewed all the procedures, and we'll now jump to the approach phase. In preparation for the approach, the crew reviews the status page and notes a key reminder. It is vital to press the land recovery push button before commencing the approach. This action restores several systems required for landing, such as SFCC-1 for slats and flaps extension, ILS-1, the Landing Gear Control and Indication Unit 1, LGCIU-1, and the Braking and Steering Control Unit 1, BSCU-1. They also take into account that the landing gear must be extended by gravity, and nosewheel steering is unavailable in all cases. When the emergency generator is powered by the engine-driven pumps, EDPs, this configuration prevents large fluctuations in green hydraulic pressure, which could otherwise cause a spurious disconnection of the emergency generator. Well done, aviators. Mission accomplished. You've landed safely at your destination. The Gremlins played their part, and you countered with knowledge and teamwork. In this game, there are no extra lives, only procedures, checklists, and trust. The key to success is always the same. Stay calm, stay coordinated, stay ahead. And until the next episode, remember the 3 golden rules when dealing with gremlins. Never get them wet, keep them out of bright light, and never, under any circumstances, feed them after midnight.